Good morning everyone, I'm Lizette Lindo. Today we are going to talk about NIcholls and NIcholls curriculum development. But before that, let's find out who is the proponents under this model. So first, what do you think is the reason why they are cyclical? So it is cyclical because it is continuous. If you look at the image here, we see that the process is continuous. It may have a beginning, but it has no end because its last step becomes the basis of the first step. So another question is, one important aspect of cyclical curriculum development is situational analysis. So what is this? So situational analysis is the process of examining factors that exist in the environment or society where the curriculum is going to be implemented. And we have mentioned that the different things we analyze around the situation are the learners, the society, the demands, even economics and environmental conditions. We also have to consider our different curriculum sources and curriculum influences like media, alumni organization, and even church. Next, who are the developers in this model? The developers are Audrey Nichols and Howard Nichols in 1978. According to them, they believe that curriculum development is a continuous process. Audrey Nichols and Howard Nichols, in their highly successful practical guide developing a curriculum, Howard and Audrey Nichols provided a basic guide to curriculum planning for both practicing and prospective teachers. And Howard Nichols' works, 97 works in 183 publication in 5 languages, and 1,200 library holdings, roles, author, composer, and printer, while Audrey Nichols' works, 49 works in 155 publication in 6 languages, and 1,548 library holdings. The genre, history academic, thesis, and the roles, author, contributor, and editor. So next, Nichols and Nichols curriculum development. This is the theory of Nichols and Nichols curriculum development. So Nichols and Nichols model for curriculum development, Audrey and Howard Nichols, 1978. This model emphasizes the cyclical nature of curriculum development, where it is a continuous process. The model prescribes 5 logical and interdependent stages of the continuous curriculum development process. And the model starts with situational analysis, in which curricular decisions are followed by the selection of objectives and the other succeeding pieces. And the last one, this is the book where the cyclical model is written. Audrey and Howard Nichols, his book Developing a Curriculum Practical Guide, 1978. That's all. Thank you.
Today, I'm Mary Ann C. Vergara. I will be discussing the design of Nichols and Nichols cyclical curriculum development. So this model emphasizes the cyclical nature of curriculum development, where it is a continuous process. The model prescribes 5 logical and interdependent stages that are continuous curriculum development process, and the model starts with situational analysis, in which curricular decisions are followed by the selection of objectives and other succeeding phases. So, what are the steps and where does it start? So, it starts with a situational analysis, and then we have selection of objectives, we have selection and organization of content, we have selection and organization of methods, and evaluation. If we try to look at it, the steps are similar with the stuff of Ralph Tyler and Hilde Taba, only that it is not in a linear arrangement but in a circular or cyclical arrangement. The model is highly prescriptive and dynamic because changes can happen at any point or at any step of the model. Now let's start with situational analysis. So cyclical models usually start with situational analysis that will serve as the basis for the succeeding processes, meaning situational analysis may be exactly done at the beginning, but in reality, situational analysis can actually be done at any stage of the cyclical models. But it is very important for cyclical models, we need to conduct situational analysis before we proceed to the other step. This is similar to what Hilde Tabe have included as additional input in the curriculum development process. process. This means that a broad examination of the topic to be covered needs to occur. This be both a theoretical and practical examination of the topic, which may vary. For example, it may be more theoretical in law unit, which focus on the theory behind law, and more practical in units such as family law, which needed to concentrate more on established law rather than the reasons for the law's development. The second step is selection of objectives. Step 2 involves the selection of objectives for the unit. This is seen as more broadened aims which will be identified in step 3. So the first one is objective should be realistic, because realistic suggests that there is a clear understanding of how the object might be reached, that there are no circumstances or factors which would make the achievement of the objective impossible or unlikely. Now, the scope of the objective should be broad. Learning objectives are the statements that are clearly describe what students are expected to achieve as a result of instruction. It is important that the objectives are expanded to better supply the students' learning, but also consider the student's mental capacity and student's age equivalent. The third one is objective should be clear and useful. Having a clear objective in this case means having a view about the desired outcome. Being clear on what you want your learners will be learning by the end of the school year, that includes having a clear purpose on which to focus their learning efforts. The fourth one is objective should develop both kind of behavior, example expected and content. This includes the identification level of knowledge necessary to achieve your objectives and not sticking to the old ones, because learning is continuous as well as the content and objectives are developing. The fifth one is objective should enable students to perform skills, wherein learning objectives should be brief, clear, specific statements of what learners will be able to do at the end of the lesson as a result of a abilities, teaching, and learning that has taken place. Now let's move on to step 3, selection and organization of the content. This will involve the curriculum designer in making a clear statement of the skills and content that they wish to be able to identify in a student who successfully completes the unit. The first one is content must be in sequence. Just like what Print 1993 identified, the most commonly used to sequence the curriculum contents, which are simple to complex, prerequisite learning, chronology, whole to part learning, and increasing abstraction. The second one is content must be valid and reliable. Validity refers to the accuracy of the measure, and reliability refers to the consistency of a measure. This is why it is important that the content are reliable and valid, because understanding of the validity and reliability allows the educators to make decisions that improves the lives of their students both academically and socially. The third one is content must fulfill the needs of society, because society's values and norms determine the standard of behavior in a given society and thus influence how effective a curriculum will be. Just like what Tyler 1949 identified the three major sources of curriculum that includes the society. The fourth one is content must be easy to difficult, meaning in selecting a content it should be from easy to difficult, just like spiral progression approach. It is expose learners into a wide variety of concepts, topics, and disciplines until they mastered it by studying it over and over again, but with a different deepening of complexity. For example, what skills, concept, and values should be taught for a grade 1 to grade 6, wherein teacher is examining the prerequisite knowledge and skills of a student to better determine which content is easy to difficult. The fifth one is content must be according to the mental levels of students, meaning selecting content it is important to consider the mental level of student, especially on a heterogeneous class, with different learning capabilities. There are learners with learning disabilities and students who are gifted. There are aids and ways to accompany the mental levels of a student, which is highly important to include this in selecting the content of the curriculum. The sixth one is content must be age equivalent. When we say age equivalent, it is the individual's ability, skills, knowledge, or measurement expressed as the age which most individuals reach at the same level of the age norm. Age equivalent is also comparison of learners' performance compared to age group whose average scores are in the same range. This is why it is important to consider the age equivalent in selecting content because the age of the learner should be aligned to its cognitive abilities. There are also some cases that are beyond their ages who are considered as gifted learners, or some cases learners with difficulty in learning because age doesn't define the cognitive capabilities of a student or learner. In addition, when the content is selected, it must be organized in sequential order, simple to complex, easy to difficult, known to unknown, and immediate to remote. Now let's move on to step 4 of Nichols model. Involves the selection of the teaching methods of delivering the content of the unit. An understanding of cognitive development and best engaging students will need to occur here. For the designer of a real property law unit, this may mean an examination of whether watching a video where the result of an important proceeding on the topic is discussed or organizing a field trip to the site of the property which was the subject of the court case that has already been heard and decided would be better for the students' understanding of content. Okay, the first one is it provides students opportunity for self-activity so that transfer knowledge gain. Meaning, an important motivation factor in independent learning is the encouragement of students' own interests and their desire to learn. Student will be motivated to learn if teaching is content-based and meaningful, when knowledge is useful and provides means of achieving a desired goal. The second one is it provides students an opportunity of independent thinking and decision making and skill acquired. Meaning, independent learning has implication for responsible decision making as learners are expected to analyze problems, reflect their work, make decisions, and take purpose action. Independent learning will enable learners to respond to the changing demands of work, family, and society. The third one is it should be adopted according to the needs of students so that they obtain satisfaction. It is important to understand your students in their interests because this will help you to provide them with quality learning opportunities by giving them opportunity to explore areas they are interested at the same time providing them according to their needs. The fourth one is it should be arranged in manners that provide continuity and correlation, meaning the way in which the curriculum is organized, including the subjects or learning areas when they must be studied and the pattern in which they must be studied. Take note, continuity is the repetition of important concepts within the curriculum vertical or over time. For example, in developing critical thinking, it is important in curriculum that this concept will appear throughout the curriculum or gradual higher level of complexity. The last one is it should be effective, interesting, and useful for students, meaning an effective curriculum set quantifiable goals and keep track of the students' development throughout the year. With this support, teachers have a greater understanding of what is going on in the classroom. The step 5 of this model involves evaluation, which Nichols and Nichols simply use the singular word evaluation to state what they intend to be the subject of their final step. The concept of evaluation is much more intricate. Evaluation would involve not only an assessment of the students via appropriate formative or summative means of the objectives set out in step 2, but an evaluation of the curriculum design process itself. So these are tests, wherein there are 4 common types of tests. These are diagnostic, formative, benchmark, and summative. then quiz, presentation, viva. When we say viva, it is conducted by spoken in word rather than in writing, and it is assessed on the spot. So that ends my discussion in the design of NIcholls and NIcholls Cyclical Curriculum Development.
Once again, good morning everyone. And the next discussion for today, what benefits can this model get from situational analysis? It enables the curriculum workers to understand better the context in which the curriculum is developed. Curriculum workers will be able to collect data and needed information from various curriculum sources. We already discussed these curriculum sources in our previous discussion, which is societies as a source of curriculum, learners as a source of curriculum, and disciplines or subject matters as a source of curriculum, and also the influences that are prerequisites in formulating curriculum goals and objectives. Next slide is what are the things that this model recognizes. The model recognizes the influences and importance of contributing disciplines such as philosophy, psychology, and sociology in developing the curriculum. If we look at these three, philosophy, psychology, and sociology, these are similar to philosophy foundation, psychology foundation, and sociology foundation of curriculum development. Next slide is what other benefits can we get from using this model? In any educational setting, its cyclical nature allowed curricular worker to make necessary changes and adjustment in the total curriculum. This can also be opportunity to address curricular issues and propose innovation and changes whenever needed. Because this model believe in continuous development. What weakness does this model has for the Philippine setting? Curriculum development in the Philippines follow a top-down approach, so actual situation analysis at the lower level do not matter. So here in the Philippines, we don't follow a cyclical model, but we follow a linear model. In higher education, situation analysis can be tedious or difficult to do. So, this cyclical model is very time consuming for the teacher and also for the faculty member of the school. Next slide is implication to pedagogy. We all know that pedagogy can allow students to gain deeper understanding of subject matter and can help them apply their learning to their own personal experience outside the classroom. Knowledge of cyclical model and how it can guide their activities become essential. That is uh, that is knowledge and application of this theoretical component add value to the learning activities that happen in the classroom. It means that activities undertaken by the legal educator can stand up to external illustration. Having a knowledge of theoretical basis of curriculum will assess legal educator to satisfy personal competency and provide rigor to the work that they undertake. A knowledge of the cyclical model may help legal educators to better prepare for the work they undertake within the classroom by grounding the practical activities they undertake in established theory. Next slide is implication to research. Research implications are basically the conclusion that you draw from your result and explain how the finding may be important to policy, practice, or theory. That's why pedagogy and research curriculum design is central to teaching learning. Having understanding and choosing particular model of curriculum to choose by an educator is important. At the fundamental level of knowledge of the factor that influence curriculum design assess our legal educator to be able to better understand how the content they are required to deliver is connected to the learning experience which occur in the classroom. Failure to knowledge of the different model of curriculum or to ignore them altogether means that the educator take place in the random.